business, that's one of the most interesting things you can do with your life, some people say. You can get into business and then you can become a millionaire. That's the basic goal.
But some people don't do it to become millionaires. They just do it to avoid, going to office and working 9 to 5, because you can work, of course, based on your own rules. But do they always work? Because sometimes a lot of small businesses fall flat along the way, and we're going to find out why exactly that is. So today we have, once again, our guest, Maresa in the studio. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
Today we're talking about the most common business pitfalls. So we talked about understanding business the last time you were here. So one of the main pitfalls would be the lack of understanding of numbers. What's your take on that?
When we work with business owners, what we find when I speak to 10, almost 8 out of 10 of them don't have a clear understanding of their financials.
Okay.
At least the numbers that drive the business. Far too often, a lot of business owners think that the numbers that drive the business are, very common is sales and profit, and those are financial outcomes. But what are the numbers that drive you towards this result? Because you can't change the outcome just by wanting to change the outcome. What are the various numbers that lead to that? Those are called key performance indicators or key performance measures, as some people will put it. So some of the few business owners that I work with, a lot of them either don't have the numbers, or if they had it, they don't quite clearly understand how it affects them. It's almost like, think about it this way, it's almost like hopping into a fast-moving car with no dashboard.
No steering wheel.
No steering wheel. Oh, no steering wheel is scary. It's like, okay, how do I control this thing? But it's almost like you're in a very fast car. You think you might be going at 120 or 140 kilometers per hour, but actually you have no idea. No idea how the engine is overheating, how much fuel you have left. But people do that to their businesses, and it worries the coach sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny because that sounds like the American economy right now. How the hell they got there?
They don't know they don't know what they're doing wrong, and they don't know if they're what harm they're causing. If they are, and they don't know if they are. So
absolutely.
So as a business owner myself, I'm interested in these numbers. So what are these numbers that we're looking at? Are they cash flow numbers? Are they numbers that I use to purchase things that fund my business? What are these numbers?
Great question. Thanks a lot. A lot of time people don't differentiate between two different types of numbers. One is the financial outcome, which is sales, cash flow, revenue, profit. The other outcome is your activity. What determines the outcome is the activity. So I'll give you an example of activity. Let's just say we're looking at sales. What determines sales, revenues, how many deals you close? It could even be your calls. Number of appointments that you make a week. Do you set a target for yourself on how many calls that you make? From the calls that you make, how many of them become proposals, actual effective proposals where you close into deals? So you actually have conversion numbers in between to measure the effectiveness of your sales process. But if you can see, it's a lot more than just a financial result of revenue per se. So much more leads to it, and that's the activity that you need to measure. Those are the numbers of any business.
okay, so you need to keep track of the activity that leads to the outcome, not just keep your eye on the outcome. That's what you're saying. All right. Now, you guys
give them the
at
numbers
home,
that matter.
Yeah, the numbers. These aren't your performance numbers. These are the numbers to call: 0322829062 or 0322823043. If you want to talk about businesses, or if you have a question about the most common pitfalls of businesses. All right, as you were saying earlier, people often don't understand these numbers. So when you know that you're facing this problem, is that a sign that you shouldn't step into the business in the first place, or should we turn to a business coach?
Turning to a business coach is one of the measures. That being said, a lot of this information or what numbers you should be looking at are all out there. They're on Google, they're on the internet, they're on books. But that being said, when we come in as a coach, the outside eye looking in, we can sometimes see a little bit more of the activity, taking a very big picture. For you to understand the numbers and go deep in, which is very micro, you got to be able to come out. And that's what we do with business owners and entrepreneurs as well, as we take them outside of their business and say, hey, let's take a look at what determines all of your numbers, right down to not only sales, but even recruitment, getting the right people to join your team, whether these people are productive. All of the numbers that will determine that. Yeah. So we definitely come in to help. Azaria, great question. We do come in to help.
Now, the outside eye looking in, I like that concept because you're also saying the last time you were here about working on and working in the business. A lot of times you get into business, you want to be free. You want to have more time for yourself.
Yeah.
But you notice a lot of business owners say, hey, I'm busy lah, I'm busy lah, I'm busy lah. So everybody's busy doing exactly what? Working on, working in. What is the difference?
That is the difference, really, is if you are working on the business versus working in. The differences is this: when you work in the business, you're generating income, for active income for the business, but it will only determine income for that month or the following few months, depending if you're on a contract. But if you're doing work on the business, you don't necessarily are always dealing with a customer. You know, there's some activity that you are busy with that doesn't always have a customer in business. Sometimes it's training, sometimes it's looking at that new script, sometimes it's mining and farming your database that doesn't always have a customer in front of you.
Right.
The work on the business ensures a sustainable business. That means it doesn't determine business for 1 month, 3 months or 6 months, but it determines business for 6 to 16 years, whether or not you're there. That's the work on the business. But coming back to what you were saying, Terence, when people are too busy, more often than not, they're too busy selling, doing, and making.
So they're working in.
You're working in, yeah. So there's always a customer. I'm always preparing something for a customer. So when you're too busy to build the business, this is really, but I'm building the business. What are you talking about? I am building the business.
Right.
But busy doing work in or work on. Significant difference that we coach business owners to understand early up front.
There's this common rule of thumb. I don't know if it is still true till today. Businesses fail in the first 5 years. About 70%, 80% of new startup businesses fail in the first 5 years. So why is that so? What kind of pitfalls cause these businesses to cave in?
I think the statistic is 80%.
That's worse.
80% is a pretty scary statistic. The 80% of them do not last 5 years. The 20% of them that go into the next 5 years, only 80% of them last 10 years. So then it becomes a very, very small number of businesses.
That's worse than marriage statistics, right?
I have no idea. But some of the common pitfalls are really what activity the business owner chooses to be in, and if they so choose not to be in that activity, I think some of the misconceptions that people think that working in the business is wrong. Actually, it's not. But if you're not going to do the work in the business, who else will do it? Number one, and how will they do it? Will they do it to the effectiveness that you would do it as the business owner? So then that's choosing your activity. One of the pitfalls is that sometimes business owners don't choose their activity wisely, and when they don't, they're in that activity for a long time. The third pitfall is that over a period of time, when they don't last, they go past that 5 years into the 8th year, into the 9th year, they get burned out.
Okay, and when you're speaking about activities, what activities do you suggest they should work more on? Is it people always turn towards marketing, but sometimes they don't really realize that advertising is just as important as marketing, and they actually work hand in hand. So what would you say would be the first area that you have to work on, or the most important ones?
Great question. When it comes to sales and marketing, absolutely selling and marketing your business is work in, because you are trying to get more customers. But the work on, so I'm going to show you a differentiation. The work on is understanding what is effective about your marketing. You brought up advertising. Fantastic. There's a lot of entrepreneurs advertise. But which advertisement is working for you? Which headline do you put out that is effective? what copy, what kind of offer? Is it a buy 2 bottles of wine and get the third one for free versus buy one and get the second one at 50% off? Which one works for you? See, the test and measure is a lot of work on. No client there, no customer there, but you understand what works in the business. And sometimes we're just going ahead, just do. It's like driving that car, go. But what really works? Where am I? Am I in Penang now? Or am I in Malacca? Or maybe I should be somewhere else.
And another thing that people do, I think, is they open a business based on another business's success in the same area, and they often try the same strategies, the same advertising strategies, the same marketing strategies, but it may not work for their product. Is that correct?
It may or may not. It depends. A lot of people who are in a business before, they would use the experiences, and the experiences are good. It's fantastic that they learned all from here, and they bring it over to the next business. However, it may or may not just replicate itself so easily. So therefore, the test and measure that they take, therefore coming up with the numbers, understanding the numbers, and using those test and measure to find out what is effective. And it can always be different. It's always it is. No, there's no cookie cut.
And then there's this thing about setting your goals. I think this is not just a pitfall in business, it's also a pitfall in life. Because you set your goals, you probably put it way up there. I want to lose 10 kilos by the end of the year. Maybe similar in business, you have a predominant goal that you want to achieve. Most of the time is financial freedom, more time for yourself, and things like that. But along the way, you tend to lose sight of that goal. Why is that so? Why would we lose sight of a goal which we ultimately set?
In most cases, when we work with entrepreneurs, when they lose sight of the goal, it's a few things. The first thing sometimes is that they're spending too much time head down. When you're head down, meaning your work in the business, you don't take yourself out enough to see what is happening around you. And sometimes you can lose sight of the goal because you're head down. It's almost like when you're running a marathon, and if you're head down, it's really hard to breathe. It's really difficult for you. So that's one of the reasons why people lose sight of the goal is because they're not really seeing where they're going. They're not checking with themselves. Yeah. Now the other reason for not losing sight of the goal at some point is because sometimes the goal is too vague. I hear too often in my seminars people standing up and saying, "Coach, I want to know how to become a millionaire." But it's
Don't we all?
Yeah, don't we all? But you see, the thing about goals is that if it's not specific, you lose sight of it. How does it apply? What is a million? How do you get there? What are your milestones? And if something is too vague and too big for you to achieve, at some point you'll stop believing in it and you will lose sight. Yeah. So the thing about goals is to be very specific.
What about micro goals? I mean, should you set one big goal and then break it down to many smaller goals?
Will you be able to achieve all of them then?
Good question. If you have a big goal, break it down to always start furthest out 5 years. Start furthest out 5 years, down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. Always be very reasonable with what you expect from yourself in the first year. Yeah, that's always our rule of thumb. Whether you achieve them, fine enough. What I learned over time is that a lot of business owners fail to have goals. They don't have goals is because if they had them, they know if they've succeeded or failed. And it's sad because then over time, business owners that have been in business for 5, 7, 8 years, what I asked them said, what are your goals this year? I didn't really have them. And I stopped having them a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's sad. We hope to have you back every month. So tell us how we can get in touch with you on Facebook, or how can our viewers shoot their questions to you directly.
Fantastic. First of all, we're very active on the Hello on 2 fan page, so post up your questions there, so we'd be able to address them there too. Otherwise, look me up on Facebook, Maresa Ng, or my website at www.maresaeng.com, and you will be able to understand what business coaching is and how we help entrepreneurs like yourself. And otherwise, our phone numbers and everything else will be on the website as well.
All right.
Thank you
so
very much. It's been fantastic talking to you again about this time pitfalls of businesses. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Now, that's something for you to think about before you start your business, or if you're already in business and you're facing one of the many pitfalls that we talked about, perhaps Coach can help you out. Head on to the website, jump into our Facebook page, and
what
ask
are the
away.
problems that you are facing? Because they could be unique to each person in
Yes,
each area
true.
of business.
Very true.
All
Very
right,
true.
then we're taking a break. After this, we're talking about Muslim communities in the U.S.
Now,
And
before we check out this Ramadan buffet
yeah,
spread,
it's hot food, and this if the brownies didn't tempt you, good luck with this. It's hot food with Zamil at Surrey Pacific Hotel, checking out the Ramadan feast. Take it away.